Mornings in Everwood Heights carried an almost obsessive sense of order. Lawns lay smooth and green, clipped to the edge of every blade. The hum of a distant mower blended with the faint perfume of dew-kissed climbing roses. Not a leaf out of place, not a tile cracked, the kind of perfection money and power could buy. And in the middle of it stood Malcolm Hayes, a tall, broad-shouldered black man in his 40s, sweat sheening against dark skin, wearing a faded gray tank and worn track pants. Drops ran from his neatly cut hair, tracing down a jaw built from years of work, not leisure. He faced the wrought iron gate of a 1,000-square-meter mansion, black bars curling in delicate patterns that caught the sunlight like strands of gold wire, a barrier as elegant as it was unwelcoming. Malcolm pressed a finger to the scanner. Beep. Access denied. He tried again and again. Same red flash. Same cold rejection. The irritation came slow, compressed, familiar, the kind a man knows when life's walls are invisible yet always there. He glanced up and down the silent street. No guard, no passerby. His eyes tracked the white brick wall. A decision tightened in his shoulders. He stepped back, gripped the bars, feet finding purchase. "Stop! What do you think you're doing, you black thief?" The voice cracked the morning open. Across the street stood Margaret Doyle, 70 plus, white hair wound tight, draped in dark velvet and a white fur shawl. One hand clutching the leash of a pristine poodle that growled as if echoing her glare. Malcolm released the gate, palms lifted. "I'm not stealing. This is my house." Her laugh was sharp, dismissive.
Your house? Don't insult me. I'm calling the police.
"I live here. Shut your mouth, I know you're kind." The words cut the air between them like glass. Malcolm tried to explain, morning run, system glitch, but her voice only rose, loud enough to draw curtains aside and neighbors to their porches. Within minutes, sirens swelled. 2 patrol cars screeched to a stop. Wait a second. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us. 3 young white officers stepped out, eyes narrow, movements clipped. One approached, hand resting on his holster. "Report says you tried to break in. Who are you?" "I told you, this is my house. I live here." A glance passed between them, the kind that didn't need words to confirm what they'd already decided. Cold steel closed on his wrists. Margaret folded her arms, smirking. "Told you. Get him out of here." As Malcolm was led away, more neighbors gathered, coffee cups in hand, bathrobes tied loose, eyes fixed like an audience at a matinee. A man in a black suit called out, voice dripping mockery. $1 million home? For you? What a joke." Laughter, whispers, stares heavy with contempt. Malcolm kept his gaze forward, jaw set, hands clenched until veins stood sharp. He knew every second of this would be captured, twisted, and turned into the story they wanted to believe, not the truth. The siren's wail died the moment the station's steel door clanged shut behind Malcolm. They walked him straight into intake, a room heavy with disinfectant, punctuated by the click-clack of keys from the duty desk. The cuffs stayed on until a young blonde officer, Reynolds, unlocked them with deliberate slowness, the kind meant to remind a man he had no say in the pace. Name? Malcolm Hayes. Address? 27 Everwood Heights. Reynolds tapped it in, frowned. No record of anyone by that name living there. Malcolm leaned forward. "I'm the CEO. All my documents are inside my house. I just came back from a run. The gate scanner rejected my fingerprint. The entry system's faulty." Reynolds smirked. Faulty system or faulty story. Another officer, Keller, sharp-jawed, dark hair cut in. "You were caught climbing a wall. Now you're claiming you own the place. We checked the list, your name's not there. You really think we'll believe a black guy in a sweat-stained tank top and muddy shoes owns a luxury home?" Malcolm kept his tone even. "Not just a home. I own Hayes Global, and I own the entire Everwood Heights development. Believe it or not, that's the truth." Keller laughed out loud, glancing at the officers in the back with their coffee. "Did you hear that? A CEO. Looks more like he slept under a bridge." The laughter rolled through the room. They moved him into holding 4 white walls, a metal chair bolted to the floor. He sat, fingers laced, feeling the pulse in his hands, face unreadable. His phone was dead. No calls, no proof. Outside, the internet was already burning. Someone from the neighborhood had posted a video of him gripping the gate, captioned, "Black stranger caught scaling mansion fence." Comments piled up. Knew what he was up to the second I saw him. Thank God for Margaret. You let people like this into rich areas, you lose safety overnight. Someone even photoshopped his face into a crime alert poster stamped "Stay away." Local news picked it up, spinning it as a lesson in vigilance. Anchors urged residents to lock their doors and report suspicious individuals. The fallout spread. Other black residents in other upscale neighborhoods were stopped by security, questioned, even detained, just for looking like the man in the video. In the interrogation room, a senior officer, Lieutenant Harris, entered, voice low. "Mr. Hayes, here's the situation. You're facing a trespassing charge. Without proof of residence, the law won't back you." Malcolm folded his arms. "I've got nothing to hide, but I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do." Harris held his gaze a moment, exhaled, and left. Outside, Reynolds and Keller leaned against the wall, grinning. Leave him there a couple days. No papers, no one to vouch for him. See how long he keeps that calm face. Reynolds sipped his coffee. Guy probably thinks he's in some hero movie. In holding, Malcolm sat still, back straight, listening to the slam of doors and the echo of boots in the hall. He was boxed in. No witnesses, no ID, no phone, and a room full of men who'd already decided the verdict. The system, from the sneer in a stranger's eyes to the soulless beep of a gate scanner, had sealed shut around him. He couldn't gamble on luck. He couldn't afford anger, because Malcolm knew the real storm hadn't hit yet, and he was bracing for it, the way he'd braced for far worse in his life. He sat there, spine unbent, eyes fixed on the empty air ahead, waiting. Malcolm sat in the holding room, hands resting lightly on the cold metal table. The fluorescent light overhead cast sharp planes of shadow across his face. He had barely spoken, just once, clearly. "I want to call my lawyer." From the outer desk, Reynolds leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Oh, hear that, Keller? Mr. CEO wants a lawyer." Keller gave a short, mocking laugh. "Sure. Let's see which bargain bin attorney's dumb enough to come save a black guy caught climbing a wall." Their laughter merged with the sharp click of shoes on tile. Margaret Doyle appeared in the doorway, hair wound in a silver bun, cream-colored dress pristine, cane tapping the floor. She looked at Malcolm as if he were already convicted. "A lawyer? I'd have guessed you could only afford some intern. Not that anyone would waste their time." Malcolm didn't bite. His gaze stayed level, her words stored away, not for anger, but for the right moment. 30 minutes later, an unfamiliar engine's low, purring growl rolled into the station. Through the glass, a black Mercedes Maybach stopped at the front. The rear door opened. A tall white man in a navy suit stepped out, hair silver, combed smooth, glasses with slim metal frames, silk tie in deep blue, an Italian leather briefcase in hand. Jonathan Whitmore, a name that made half the legal community in the state tread carefully. The man who had represented governors, secured $100 million wins for corporate giants, and had never lost a major case. The chatter at the desk died. Reynolds stiffened. Keller's coffee cup hit the counter a little too hard. Margaret Doyle's face lost its color. Jonathan didn't ask for directions. He walked straight to holding. When the door opened, Malcolm's lips curved in the smallest smile. Jonathan took both his hands in a firm clasp, voice warm with respect. "Sorry to keep you waiting. I came as soon as I heard." "I knew you would," Malcolm replied. Jonathan turned, his voice cutting through the room. "I'm standing in front of my client, Mr. Malcolm Hayes, founder and owner of Hayes Global, and the sole owner of the Everwood Heights estate where you people just cuffed him like a petty thief." Silence froze the air. Keller swallowed. Reynolds looked away. Then Chief Grant appeared, a broad-shouldered man in rolled-sleeve white shirt, handshake ready but awkward. "Mr. Whitmore, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Malcolm's voice sliced in, cold as steel. Not done yet. I want the gate logs from my property, now. Jonathan nodded beside him. My client is invoking his ownership access rights. I'll supervise. The chief, reluctant but cornered, ordered the Everwood Heights system tech to bring in a laptop. Malcolm entered his security code. The logs appeared. Yesterday's entry lit up the screen. User, Mem Doyle. Action, remove fingerprint, Malcolm Hayes. Reason, resident moved out. Malcolm lifted his gaze to Margaret. She looked away, hands trembling. Jonathan rotated the screen to Chief Grant. It's here. The HOA head deleted the owner's access, stated he moved out, which he did not. That's data tampering. Malcolm clicked deeper. Internal security messages. Doyle, tomorrow I'll delete his print. Once he's locked out, you handle the rest. Keller, don't worry. We'll catch him in the act so he can't talk his way out. Jonathan saved everything to a USB, signing the chain of custody form. This isn't an administrative slip. This is a conspiracy. Malcolm rose, eyes sweeping Reynolds, Keller, and Doyle. You plan to humiliate me, to drag me out of my own home. All because my skin isn't like yours. No one spoke. The hum of the AC was the only reply. Jonathan faced the chief. We'll wait for the DA's call. I suggest you act fast, before this becomes a federal racial discrimination case. Grant's voice was heavy. I understand. The officers involved will be suspended pending investigation. Now the picture was complete. Doyle and her allies had deliberately stripped Malcolm's access, set up a public arrest, and aimed to push black residents out of Everwood Heights under a veneer of order. The plan thrived on quiet backing from officers who shared her bias. They couldn't hold him any longer. Malcolm walked out, but he knew this was only the opening move. The evidence was in hand. The truth was exposed, and the storm he'd been waiting for was finally building. The moment Jonathan slid the USB from the laptop, Chief Grant's hand went straight to his radio. Dispatch. Have Officers Reynolds, Keller, Brooks, and Taylor turn in their badges and service weapons. Effective immediately, suspended. The acknowledgement crackled back, dry and final. Reynolds tried to speak. Chief. We were just... Grant's voice cut through, ice cold. Save it. I read your messages. There is no just. Get out. Reynolds' glare lingered on Malcolm, but no words followed. Keller's face had drained of all color. His career was already over. Within 24 hours, the State Police Oversight Commission stepped in. The investigation widened. Every report, every camera feed, every resident statement combed through. The truth surfaced quickly, and it was ugly. For 3 years, that same group of officers had patrolled Everwood Heights, targeting black residents and immigrants. An Indian woman reported being stopped for ID 3 times in a single week. Her only offense was taking an evening walk. A Mexican family had been questioned at their own gate because their car didn't look like it belonged here. Every complaint had been quietly buried, signed off by Margaret Doyle herself. Now she sat in the DA's interview room, draped in a gray designer dress, pearl earrings in place, looking more like she was attending a board meeting than facing criminal charges. The prosecutor read the list aloud. Margaret Doyle, you are charged with 3 counts: breach of personal data, abuse of authority within a private housing system, and conspiracy to orchestrate a false arrest. Margaret's chin lifted. I only wanted to protect this community from change. When he moved in, things became... The prosecutor's pen tapped the table. No one here is listening to that anymore. You broke the law. You will answer for it in court. From the back, Jonathan's faint smile said everything. He'd seen this kind of arrogance before, cloaked as good intentions, built on the backs of others' rights. Outside the courthouse, Malcolm refused every question about lawsuits or damages. He stopped in front of one camera, looked straight into the lens. Make it all public. I don't need a private apology. I need transparency for everyone like me, who can be erased from where they belong because of the color of their skin. Those words, seconds on air, spread like wildfire. The hashtag right to belong trended across platforms. Headlines followed, erased from his own home, because of prejudice and conspiracy. The article recapped everything from the moment Malcolm was cuffed at his gate to the damning messages between Doyle and Keller. Public outrage was instant. The Everwood Heights board called an emergency meeting. The result? The entire HOA management dissolved. A new council formed, half made up of black residents, immigrants, and women. 3 weeks later, Malcolm stood before them at the council's inaugural meeting, cameras flashing. Anyone living honestly, no one has the right to erase them from where they belong. Everwood Heights will no longer stand for exclusion. It will stand as proof that change is possible. The applause lasted minutes. The officers faced severe discipline, some recommended for prosecution on charges of systemic racial discrimination and abuse of power. Margaret Doyle sat in jail awaiting trial, her assets frozen. Malcolm turned down the talk show circuit. He didn't need celebrity. He wanted his life back. One morning, before the sun was high, he laced up his old running shoes, pulled on a plain tee, and jogged the tree-lined streets of Everwood Heights. No suspicious glances followed him. At the gate, his hand met the fingerprint scanner. The light blinked green. The gate swung open. No alarms, no shouts. A blond boy of 8 ran up with a cold bottle of water. "I saw you on TV. You're so cool. When I grow up, I'm going to be like you." Malcolm paused, smiled, and ruffled the boy's hair. "You don't have to be like me. Just be yourself, and be kind." The morning sun spilled through the leaves, warming his shoulders. For the first time in weeks, Everwood Heights felt like home again. Not because he owned it, but because now it truly belonged to everyone. Message: prejudice doesn't only live in cruel words or contemptuous looks. It hides in decisions, in laws, and in schemes disguised as protecting the community. Malcolm's story shows that the right to belong can be stripped away for nothing more than the color of one's skin, and those responsible may believe they're doing the right thing. Justice comes only when truth is exposed, when transparency shatters the darkness of bias. And it's a reminder, every person, no matter their position, deserves to be judged by their character and actions, not their skin color or origin.